I'd like to take a roll call. Trustee Berenger?
Berenger's present.
Trustee Ferraro?
Ferraro present.
Trustee Carl?
Carl present.
O'Connor present.
Dwyer, thank you so much. Next order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes from March 18th, as submitted by the clerk. Can I get a motion?
Carl will make the motion.
Second.
O'Connor will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business, trustee O'Connor, the reappointment of Jim Lenari to the zoning board of appeals. Want to read that one?
3A.
Okay, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of Zoning Board of Appeals Chairman Paul Baum and reappoints James Lenari, 22 Cunningham Drive, Monroe, New York, to the Zoning Board of Appeals member with a term expiring 3/31/2029. And I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
Carl will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye. Welcome aboard, Jim, and thank you for serving. Next order of business, reappointment of Keith Allen, the planning board member. Trustee O'Connor, you want to grab that one?
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of Planning Board Chairman Jeff Boucher and reappoints Keith Allen, 12 Callaway Drive of Monroe, New York, the Planning Board member with a term expiring 3/31/2029. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
Berenger will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Thank you, Jeff, for serving. Next order of business is the reappointment of Barbara Iannucci, planning board member. Trustee O'Connor?
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of Planning Board Chairman Jeff Belcher and reappoints Barbara Iannucci, 227 Spring Street, Monroe, New York, to Planning Board member with a term expiring 3/31/2029. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
Carl, second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the retirement of Bill Walter Jr. From the DPW. The Village of Monroe has received notification from the New York State and local retirement system that William Walter Jr. has applied for retirement after 27 years of dedicated service to the Village Department of Public Works. Mr. Walter's last day of employment is May 1, 2024. Resolved, the Board of Trustees acknowledge Mr. Walter's notice of retirement and thanked him, and do thank him, for his service to the community, as well as wish him well in his retirement. I need a motion to accept this.
Ferraro make the motion.
Carl will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Thank you, Billy. Okay, next order of business. Council, do you have, I don't know if the clerk, did you send this to Elise at all, any of this discussion material on
Well,
Stage Road?
We had,
did.
we had discussed it, and it does require a local law because that particular section 43-4 does not have the provision that it can be modified by resolution.
Okay.
We can add that as we modify this. Mr. Mayor, you also mentioned that 43-4F or E says that the provisions contained in this section shall not apply to commercial motor vehicles making deliveries to businesses located in the village. So right now, you have Shunamuck Street, Forest Avenue, Franklin Avenue, North Main Street to Spring Street. I think that's the one that was modified in 2019.
Right.
As well as adding that language in 2019 that it wouldn't apply if you were making deliveries in the village. The mayor's concern is that that these commercial vehicles will continue to go through these streets because they're making deliveries in the village somewhere. So I think the board merely needs to tell me what you want to add, what it should read, whether you want this section modified as to, whether or not it doesn't apply if you're making I mean, you could say it doesn't apply if you're making a delivery on the street,
Right.
on that particular street, on any of the streets listed, like Scunny Monk or, but you'll have to tell me how you want that to read, and if you're gonna add a stage road from where to where, and I can modify it and introduce it at the next
Stage Road, you're
meeting.
looking from
Orange Turnpike to 17M,
Mill
so,
Road, Orange Turnpike to 17M.
Right.
yeah. So Stage Road to 17M. And that's mostly used as a bypass, is the thing, to get to the center of the village as opposed to going all the way to the traffic light, and then making the left to go into the village.
So I can modify, I can draft a local law to include that in this section.
Yeah.
I can also include, I can modify the entire chapter such that you can modify by resolution. I haven't done that because I don't know that you want everything just to be added by resolution. And I can also modify E to say it doesn't apply if you're making a delivery on those particular streets, if you want me to do that, instead of it doesn't apply if you're making a delivery anywhere in the village, which is how it reads now.
And what would the signage look like for something like that?
You have weight limit
Yeah,
signs,
no
right?
vehicle over such and such weight allowed unless local delivery.
Mhm. And the weight limit,
I think it was 25,000?
22, I think it said.
yeah, 23,000
Yeah.
on Scunny Monk. Well, that's another thing I noticed. Scunny Monk is 23, Forest is 23, Franklin is 26, and North Main is 11 tons.
22.
Yeah, so there, do you want that to be the same on all of those streets rather than different?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Pick the highest.
Gotten any, have you talked to the police chief on this matter, by any
Yeah.
chance?
Well, I talked to the lieutenant.
Okay. We should be consistent. And again, I know I brought it up in the past, Freeland Street's getting to be a real issue.
Yeah.
Ever since they took the commercial off of Spring Street,
Right.
it's all on Freeland.
And I think we should look even further, having tractor trailers 53 feet long. I know we can't stop them from state roads, but we should stop them from on local roads. It's, we can't stop them on 17M, but when I saw them trying to drive into this parking lot back here and making a turn through there, a 53-footer plus the cab, it's insane. You shouldn't have a
They came
vehicle
through
that large.
here?
Yeah, back here.
Wow.
So you shouldn't have a delivery truck that large in a tiny village with tiny roads. They should offload to a box truck, a smaller vehicle, for local deliveries.
Would this weight limit take into account a tractor trailer though? They wouldn't be allowed, right? Or do you
On
say
these
no?
roads?
On these roads, but we're
You're
talking
saying
about
on the whole
village-wide,
village?
on village streets.
I think that's gonna be a tough lift.
Yeah,
Right,
it's a
'cause
longer
aren't the-
discussion. It can't be
Right,
done now.
Yeah,
It's a
'cause
bigger
the big
discussion.
trucks are delivering to the restaurants and things, I would think, right?
That's the one I
Grocery
think we saw
stores.
that day, the 52-foot.
Yeah, it's delivering to the restaurants, so it's a bigger discussion.
Yeah.
It's, can't be discussed now.
Right.
But, it's,
I think these four roads, I mean, if the board would like to look at them, so we have Scuddy Monk, Forest, Franklin, and North Main / Spring Street. Now, we've identified all four with rate restrictions, but they're inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Two roads have the 23,000,
Mm-hmm.
right, which is the 11.5 tons. Excuse me.
bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. So that's Scuddy Monk and Forest. Now, Forest turns on to, Franklin turns on to Forest. So, that should also be, there should be a modification there to match what's on Forest and Scuddy Monk, because they all tie in together.
Mm-hmm.
And then the North Main Street and Spring Street has a connection point. It's not, one at the end of North Main is Scuddy Monk on the right, and Forest is online of North Main. So there is connections to the road.
Well, I got a question, especially Scunnamunk Street, because I see an awful lot of large vehicles on that street. When you say local delivery within the village of Monroe, not into
That's
other
right.
communities,
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely.
And actually, when you say local deliveries, it should be on that street.
It should be within
Well,
that
that's what,
street.
It should be right on that street.
That's what I'm getting at, that any street, that's gotta be within our jurisdiction, because we can't enforce outside of our jurisdiction.
Right.
Do you want to, so we have to just pick a weight here. So do you want to keep it as 11 tons, as one says, or do you want to use 24,000 pounds?
Well, I think
Or-
the 23, 11 and a half tons works. I
Okay,
think that's a trigger in that world,
okay.
from what I understand.
So we would have to reduce the Franklin one down to 23?
And the North Main, oddly enough, is,
11 ton, 22,000.
and what do you change from all to 11?
Well, here's another question. If you have private school buses that are using like Franklin Avenue as a cut-through to go somewhere else, so then they would be in violation, because a full-size school bus is about
Are they picking up
26,000
locally?
pounds. No, they're just coming through.
Well, but then again, a bus isn't considered a commercial delivery truck. The bus falls under a different category, even its registration says bus. And
It's very hard to keep buses, school buses off of streets.
Yeah,
I mean, they're picking up children,
right.
Mhm.
so,
Well, just to make it simple, if you want to pick one of these weights, the 11 tons, 22,000 pounds, or the 23,000 pounds. The 26 is way too big, we should drop that. So we're choosing between, how many signs do we have to change? Do they say?
They
that-
say what they say here, like, for instance,
Right now?
Scunnamunk has 11 and a half
Okay,
tons
so
on it.
we would,
There's at least 2 signs that say 11 and a half tons, that I know about.
Mm-hmm.
I know the North Main has them on both ends.
okay,
There might even be a couple more, but I think it's more important to get it right, right?
yeah.
So,
so
if
20.
North Main, which is always a big concern for us, it was, at least during my first term, and when I was a trustee, if 11 tons is the number, then 11 tons is the number.
The thing is, you push it off on one road, it's gonna go somewhere else. And that's what's happened with North Main and Spring Street. You limited the weight there, and now it's on Freeland Street.
Also, 43-3 has the same, it's a separate section for some reason applying to Gilbert Street. No motor vehicles, commercial motor vehicles as defined in the VTL law allowed on Gilbert Street.
Where are you,
From the
Louise?
I'm at, we've been discussing 43-4, I'm at 43-3, which was enacted,
We don't have it.
yeah, it was whenever you enacted this law.
That's from the post office, I believe, up till the intersection of Gilbert and High.
Gilbert with High,
Yep. That's just one section of that road, it's not the entire road.
right, and no commercial motor, so,
So that allows the big trucks to come in over 17M
That's correct,
up to the shop right.
that's correct.
So
yeah, it
we're-
even mentions ShopRite.
So then we're really basically expecting 17M, right? And 17 basically is where these
trucks
vehicles
could
can
be.
go.
Yeah, no control over state roads.
You know, you also have no commercial motor vehicle on Sweezy Place between Orchard and High,
Yeah.
and King Street between High Street and Route 17M. It just says commercial, though. It does, as defined by New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law, it doesn't have like a weight limit. So I would have to look at the VTL law to see how they define commercial.
Okay. You said though, Sweezy, what was the other one?
Knight Street between High Street and Route 17M.
And then you said King?
Orchard and High.
Sweeney Place between Orchard
I got
Street
that.
and High, and then Knight Street between High Street and Route 17M.
I thought I heard you say King.
No, no.
Knight.
Okay.
Did I say King? I'm losing my eyesight. It's Knight.
I
It's
think you
Knight.
said night, but
Playing chess.
Okay.
Right, King. All
And,
right.
yeah,
So to this to this, we need to introduce and modify the local law, that section to include Stage Road.
Yes.
Now, let me ask a question about that. So there's gonna be a realignment and a traffic light down the road on one end of Stage Road. There's also gonna be stop signs on Stage and Rye Hill at some point.
But it's not there now, correct?
No, but I mean to say, is there anything I need to know about for that purpose now, in the way of anything like, no? Like when we did the signs, stop signs on Reynolds and Mine and Rye Hill, I don't remember us doing any resolutions or anything to install signs. We just had the engineer do the traffic study and we did them.
Yeah, I don't know about that, because were they replacement signs or were they new signs?
Two are replacement, two are new.
I'd have to look at your your law here to see if you're allowed to do that.
Oh, we did already, so.
Okay, well, it's done.
Okay, so
It stopped all the accidents.
stopped everything. It did a great job.
Incredible.
And that's what we gotta do. We gotta slow it down at one stage.
Yeah, I mean, you might have some just general authority to, let's see, traffic control signals. No, that's, stop signs on all village streets at the intersections where such streets enter onto state or county highways. That we added, 2022.
We do have a public service announcement about that. I am looking in my email. Please be advised that the intersection of Rye Hill, that it changed. It's in an email, I know that.
How old is that?
It came out July 10th.
Okay. Probably came out from the clerk's office, right?
Yep, and it said when it would begin, and
Right.
I was trying to see if there was anything else that came up.
All right, so that's just local, we could just do that in-house. So as far as adding to this, we're gonna be adding, the Stage Road commercial, and,
23,000 pounds,
what?
23,000 pounds.
But that's what we're down to.
Conform
choosing
all
the
of the
weight
weight
limit
limits.
And unify it.
23,000 pounds?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Seems
Okay,
consistent.
Just keep
23,000
it,
pounds.
Modified by
consistent throughout.
resolution, and not to apply to deliveries on the streets themselves.
Well, applies to, yeah, right,
Right,
Exactly,
right. Right now, it says if you're just
yes.
delivering anywhere in the village, you want it to be specific to
You
the
have to
street.
be delivering within the village streets,
Within that street.
Right, mm-hmm.
but when you say within that street, it could be any secondary or tertiary road off of that street.
Right.
You come down Stage Road, you could be making a left on a Hobart Ward Drive to go in to Veterans Circle.
right?
So
That
we-
you're allowed to do,
That'd be fine.
right?
Yeah. well,
Yeah, you have to allow
I think it
deliveries.
could be,
Yeah.
you know, a whole range of deliveries and things like that.
Yeah, right.
What we don't want happening, that does happen, is people come up from Tuxedo, come on the Orange Turnpike, they turn off onto Stage, and you know what else they do? They actually make a left onto Reynolds, take Reynolds around through Mine, and go to Chester. And
Those
not even
people
come to
from
the village.
Tuxedo.
Yeah.
Well, they have the same problem down in 17 down in Tuxedo, where they come up Bramertown, up through the back,
Right,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got, there's weight
Trucks
limits on
take
the
that?
town of Tuxedo roads. Oh, yeah, tractor trailers.
Wow.
And they'll come West Monbassia and come
Wow.
down.
all right, so you're gonna go ahead and do what at this juncture? Now, you got the weights, you got the road, we have the further description as to how to modify that language consistent throughout the section.
Mhm.
So, when that's done, we can put it on the table for a public,
Mhm. I'll draft a local law for introduction at next meeting.
okay, Kim? Okay. Very good. All right, thank you. Next order of business is, let me get it to, I'm gonna try to use this, let's see what happens.
Now you're showing off.
Yeah, not really. Clicking.
What do you want to do?
Right here, is that what you're looking for?
Yes. But I should have it. Here's what I want to do. I want to go back.
Go up here, clean here, yeah, do this.
Okay, there you go. Thanks, John.
Right here.
Got it. Okay, next order of business. This is that. I need the resolution. Okay, this is all the thing about it. This isn't telling me what I need. Okay.
Right here.
Just read
That's what I
it.
need. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking for. Okay, request to travel, NICOM annual meeting, Mayor Dwyer, resolved the Board of Trustees approves the attendance of Mayor Neil Dwyer at the New York Conference of Mayors and Municipal Officials Annual Meeting at Boat Landing from May 15 through 17. The approximate total cost for the conference, including program fees and hotel stay, is $1,266.20 and shall be allocated from budget line 4100, Mayor General Expense. A personal vehicle will be used and a voucher will be submitted for mileage reimbursement. I need a motion to accept the travel request.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second,
Ferraro, second.
discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, ayes so carried. Next order of business is the agreement for wildlife services for the management of Canadian geese. Resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts an agreement from USDA, APHIS, blah, 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 Wildlife Services, 572 Third Avenue Extension, Suite 2, Rensselaer, New York, 12144, to cooperate in a wildlife management, damage management project for the Canadian geese in Crane Park in an amount not to exceed $6,489 allocated from budget line A 7110.450 Park Contractual. Be it further resolved, the Mayor Dwyer is hereby authorized to sign the cooperative agreement. Just for the public and for the folks watching in, the services that are being provided here are the following. Wildlife Services will have a wildlife specialist actively search Bill Pond Park and nearby properties with the landowner's consent 3 times during the Canadian goose nesting season. Nest treatments will be conducted from April 8th of 2024 through May 10 of 2024. All nests will be treated with 100% corn oil. Wildlife Services will require 1 wildlife specialist 3 days per week to conduct hazing activities, which will include a remote control boat, a remote control truck, a non-harmful laser, and a kayak. This harassment will be conducted from May 22, 2024 to October 27th of 2024, except within the period of the molt, which is June 15th to July 15th. During the molting period, WS will reduce the frequency of his visits to 1 day per week to compensate for reduced goose activity. It goes on to talk about the costs and whatnot. There is nothing in this plan, just so the board's aware, completely aware, there is no plan on this contract for any type of geese elimination or
Removal.
removal from the property. It is just what they typically have been doing year over year. And we're working with New Jersey, what was the name of the firm again? New Jersey Wildlife, something like that?
No, Bear. Something Bear, I forget the name.
Anyway, we met with a couple of folks that came up from a advocacy group, and we had a meeting with them, and the discussion circled around what mitigation techniques we could use, and we're going to be incorporating those mitigation as per their recommendations, as well as working with the USDA on this. And hopefully, it'll make a big difference for the Village of Monroe, its residents, and the quality of the park and the use of the park. So, having said all that, I need a motion to accept that.
Ferraro, make the motion.
Second,
Carl will second.
discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Thank you. Next order of business. Event application, Sacred Heart Eucharistic Procession. Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the application submitted by Sacred Heart Church to host a Eucharistic procession on Saturday, June 1, 2024, from 1:30 to 3:30. The procession will proceed east to Stage Road from Sacred Heart Chapel toward Maple Avenue, making a right turn and proceeding south to Mill Pond Parkway. It will then proceed west on Mill Pond Parkway to Lakes Road, making a left turn and proceeding to 17N, where it will take a left turn and proceed east to Maple Avenue, then left, returning to the Stage Road, where it will make a left and return to the Sacred Heart Chapel, where the procession ends. Sign-off of the event has been made by the Building Department, Highway, and Police Department. There is no additional cost for police protection. The Monroe Police Department will provide officers to assist with the pedestrian traffic during the procession. Proof of liability insurance has been provided. I need a motion to accept this.
Berenger will make the motion.
Ferraro, second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, ayes so carried. And it'll be further resolved that as they are a nonprofit, they're asking for a waiver of their fee for the event.
Carl will make that motion.
Ferraro, second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, ayes so carried. Thank you. Next order of business is the resolution to set the public hearing, to authorize the public hearing to be scheduled for April 16th, 2024 at 7 PM on the proposed June 1, 2024 to May 31, 2025 tentative budget. I need a motion to set the table on that.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second?
Carl will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, ayes so carried. Next order of business is the Leeds Mid-Atlantic Enforcement Executive Development Seminar. Trustee Berenger.
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Sergeant Anthony Grasso to attend the Mid-Atlantic Law Enforcement Executive Development Seminar Leads that will be held June 9th, 2024 through June 14th, 2024 in Princeton, New Jersey. The seminar registration is $850 and 5 nights accommodations at a cost of $780, $156 per night, for a total cost of $1,630 to be allocated from budget line A.3120.472 education. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Ferraro, second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, ayes so carried. Thank you. Next order of business is Trustee Berenger for the New York State Police 36th Annual.
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Detective Payton to attend the New York State Police 36th Annual International Homicide Seminar that will be held September 22nd, 2024 through September 27th, 2024 in Albany, New York. The seminar registration, including a 5-night hotel accommodation, is $1,050 to be allocated from budget line A.3120.472 education, and I'd like to put this in the form of a motion.
Second?
Carl will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, ayes so carried. Thank you. Next order of business is resolution authorizing investment in the New York Class Municipal Corporation Agreement, amended and restated as of March 28, 2019, whereas the New York General Municipal Law, Article 5-G, Section 119-0, Section 119-0, is that a typo? I copied it exactly. Okay. Empowers municipal corporations identified in Article 5-G, Section 119-N, to include school districts, boards of cooperative educational services, city, towns, and villages and districts such as the Village of Monroe to enter into agreements for the performance of their respective functions, powers, and duties on a cooperative or contractual basis with other municipal corporations. And whereas the Village of Monroe wishes to invest portions of its available investment funds in cooperation with other corporations or other districts pursuant to New York Class Municipal Corporation Agreement amended and restated as of March 28, 2019. Whereas the Village of Monroe wishes to satisfy the safety and liquidity needs of their funds, now therefore be resolved as follows: that Neil Dwyer, Mayor of the Village of Monroe, is hereby authorized to participate in the New York Class Program under the terms of the New York Class Municipal Corporation Agreement amended and restated as of March 28, 2019. I need a motion to invest with New York Class Municipal Corporation.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second?
Ferraro, second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, ayes so carried. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, updating the fee schedules. Council,
All right, I understand you want to update your fee schedules, and you can do that by resolution, right?
currently?
Yes.
Yeah, good,
This,
okay.
but this is no longer in effect. Chapter 26 is, 24 is gone. So what you have now is you have, chapter, 98, fees consultant, okay? And you can, by resolution, modify those those fees. So it has carried over some of the language, right? So you can establish a comprehensive fee schedule. Your boards can refer applications for advice from consultants, including attorneys and engineers, et cetera. You can change the fee schedule by resolution, so you can do that. So here's what it says. Village Board of Trustees does hereby declare that pursuant to municipal home rule law, a comprehensive schedule of fees to be paid to the Village of Monroe upon the filing of certain applications for permits or other certificates for activities taken or approved by the Village Board of Trustees, the Village Architectural Appearance Review Board, the Planning Board, the Building Department, the Building Inspector, the Zoning Board of Appeals, or village engineer shall be established by resolution of the Village Board of Trustees. So it goes on in quite some detail about land use applications, et cetera, et cetera.
What's the date of that? I'm sorry.
That was added in 2018, that particular,
What date? Just-
local law 2, 2018.
That's the
20,
current iteration of what
2/20.
fees are based upon.
2018, yes.
You have that, Kim?
So February 20, 2018.
February 20. So that's what we should be reading through.
No, you have fees on file, correct?
Yeah, but like, for instance, this is what we came out with. This is not valid.
I don't know what this is.
Well, it says fees, but I don't know if it goes back to
You
1992.
have all the fees on
Look,
there?
I don't,
All the fees. There's a lot of pages of fee here. Take this.
no, I have this.
Okay.
I have this. But, so all of the fees listed in here, I don't know what this is exactly. It looks like it's a local law in 1992
Right.
for a chapter 24, which there is no chapter 24, so that's gone. It
Right.
must have been replaced, right? But,
But I guess what I'm mostly interested in, to be frank, at least,
Mhm.
is, I'm sure 1992, it's 60 years ago. But what I'm mostly interested in is, we want to update our fees throughout the village and all its services. So having said that, we're probably gonna need a workshop or some kind of a
okay.
tool to do that. But I added this as the cover, because this is what we had.
Mm.
And then to that, we have all the different fee structure, for all the different pieces you started reading.
Mhm.
So I think the first order of business is to go back and get current fee schedules for everything that we currently have.
Okay,
They are all current.
Okay, so
These
they're all
are current.
current,
These are all current,
except for this.
except for that top page. Get rid of
Okay.
that top page.
Good.
Because even if you read it here, it says, fees due upon application. If you go to the second page, if you are, it says pursuant to chapter 98 of the Village Monroe Code. So this is, she said, as we said before, it was chapter 98.
Where are you reading it from?
The second page. Pursuant to chapter 98.
yeah, this is very
Yes.
confusing, because it
Yes.
references chapter 98, which, but then it references,
Exactly, this was the old schedule that I pulled off.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, the board would want to sit down. You would want some input from your other boards.
They all did that.
They
sent
did
me
that?
their current fee
And-
schedule.
and-
Okay.
And department heads.
And did they provide, like I know in other municipalities, for example, the town of Highlands Consolidated ZBA actually said to the town and village board, because it's consolidated, the escrows are not high enough, they need to be X. Please raise them from $750 to $1,250. So it was a recommendation from the board.
Sure. So what we would need to do then is we need to send out a memo to the planning board, the zoning board, the building department, DPW, water, and your office, to all furnish its most current fee as they understand it to be, even if it's here. Let's do it again. And then we're going to ask, in the same memo, we're gonna ask for a set of recommendations on these fees. And they could say they don't have any, which is fine, but they've answered the question, right? And then from that, we will have a workshop where we will develop the fees, this board. And then that will allow us to reschedule these fees by resolution and adopt them.
Yeah, I would just note for the board that there is a lot of case law around fees. They must be reasonable, okay? You're not supposed to be making money. They're supposed, the fees themselves, right? They're supposed to cover the work that's involved. And that's why you often see fees that are graduated, right? So if it's a subdivision of 3 lots, it's X. If it's 8 lots, it's more. You know, so, because it reflects what it costs,
Right.
right? Escrows are a little bit different. So what happens there is if you just set an arbitrary escrow of $5,000 for planning board, let's say, for example, and you have nothing to base that on, that could be an issue. So what I've recommended to my planning and zoning boards is do a little analysis, go back and see what you're, you know, typically, what, if you've been asking for $1,000 in escrow, how many times you have to go over that and get more? Is that enough to begin with? You know, that kind of analysis.
So you should add that in your text as well.
And again, that might be, you know, there, you have to do a little bit of analysis, see if, you know, is there a medium, is there an average? You might have an outlier that costs a lot more money because everybody and his brother hires attorneys to argue about it. So it's not as easy, it's easier said than done, but at least an analysis will uphold, you know, will not look arbitrary if you get hauled into court about fees and escrows.
So I'm looking under the building department's fees for, commercial, residential, and general fees. I'm not seeing, fire inspections and rental inspections. Am I missing it? Am I not seeing it?
Yeah, turn the page, the next page. Fire inspection, commercial, residential inspection.
Where are you, Kim? Oh, I'm sorry, hello, at the top, thank you. Okay, so a fire inspection for commercial is $25 per unit. So, here's my question or thought in the process in escalating the fees. So if you go and check, you know, let's just make an easy one. Let's say you go into Little Italy and you do a fire inspection, and that's 20 foot wide by maybe 100 feet deep, and that's the inspection. You go into ShopRite, which is probably at least 20 times the size of Scalia's or Little Italy, and they're $25 per unit. I don't know if they got multiple units in there, but that would be a question maybe for Jim. I think that needs to get looked at. That would be a perfect example of what I'm referring to. All right, so I think if you want, we could draft a letter, if you want to run it by Elise, and then we could put a letter out to the boards and to the department heads. All right, I don't know if the PD has any fee schedules, but, all right, and then we'll go from there. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the water rates in that, or is that gonna be a separate,
Separate thing, totally,
that's totally separate?
yeah. Yeah, it's totally, but there is water rates in here, John,
Yeah, I know, I see it.
and I think they're a little outdated, you know, and just for full disclosure, because everybody knows.
Water
that I
rates, it
can-
says, August of 2014. Was that the last time rates were
Yeah.
touched?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's,
and that's why when you look at this document at 1992, I guarantee if you research like the tapping fees for water lines and stuff like that, I mean, I think there's a schedule here, it says $200 for a 3/4 inch tap.
yeah, it's kind of outdated.
So, all right, so we have a little work to do. Are we on the same page?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we should follow on that tomorrow, Kim, have a further discussion, right? All right, next order of business, this was a late entry into the agenda, but it's a surplus item from the DPW. Whereas state law requires equipment no longer needed by a municipality to be sold at fair market value after declaring it surplus and no longer needed. Now therefore be resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of DPW Working Leader Aldo Chiappetta and declares the following equipment surplus to the needs of the village and authorized to be auctioned through Auctions International to the highest bidder. The equipment is as follows. It's a Skag walk-behind mower, serial number 191600128. I need a motion to put this item into surplus auction.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second,
Ferraro, second.
discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carla,
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Thank you. Just one moment, please. Okay, I think that's the last item on the agenda, right?
Yeah.
Okay, council, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Okay, I don't have anything either myself. Anybody from the board? Trustee Berenger?
No.
Trustee Farrell? Trustee Carl?
yeah, just a couple of things. I know we had put legal notice in the paper on those Zerus, what the status of that is.
Sure. So, we're working on two areas. So first of all, yes, the air roofs in the state, in the village's right of way should be coming down. To my knowledge, I don't think he's done any. However, what I've been working on since last year is working with Orange and Rockland Utilities and a local religious community to get permission to create a section, at least a section for now, of the village that would carry the ability to serve as the ear-roof through Orange and Rockland's licensing to this group, which would cover their ear-roof purposes. So that right has been granted. Orange and Rockland has agreed to it, and there's a price tag to doing it because there's a fee for doing it. And Orange and Rockland is working with them now. I spoke to the rabbi the other day, who has asked for some additional time. Once the ear-roofs are implemented, it would remove all the ear-roofs in question from Still and Stage, down Pine Tree, down through Harriman Heights Road to 17M, up 17M all the way till Still Road, and then up Still Road back to Pine Tree Road. That ear roof pocket would allow everybody within the pocket not to have one. That would eliminate all of Winchester, and he was very appreciative of the opportunity to work with him. And he says, just need a little more time, and he understands everybody's concern. So I appreciated that dialogue, for sure.
So is it basically like we'll have one at the beginning of the, like, almost the territory of the village, like the
Yes.
beginning and the end?
That would be the goal, is what I'm really trying to see how we can do, is say, even pick up, say, from Pine Tree, for instance,
Mhm.
and go down Orange Turnpike to the village bound, cut across, find a way to navigate through poles to allow the ear roofs to be placed, and then it eliminates all the interior purpose of an ear roof. So I'm hoping that that will happen, at least over there. He told me, give me a couple of months and I'm in.
Now, is the village removing those arrows, or are the people that put them up going to
We
remove
don't know
them?
who they are. I don't know who they are. Nobody's identified themselves. And
So if
wanted
one of the,
notification,
if one of those arrows falls over on a car, it's on us.
It's kind of scary.
I guess that is kind of a possibility. The only one I know about, that anybody else is aware about, I don't know, is the one on the corner of High and Lake Street. That's the only one I know that clearly is not in the right spot. I don't know if anybody else is.
Yep, I've seen it. I
Yeah,
think,
other than that, they're all on people's property, off of our right of way, except for Winchester, which has
Winchester.
two.
Right.
And that's the gentleman that came in and said,
there's 6 on Winchester that are in the village right away.
right. So, 6?
6.
So, I just thought it was 2.
There's one that goes across Ninth Street, directly across the street, but that's later on.
Yeah. and that's
So
the-
do we have a time frame from them when it's?
He said, give me a couple of months. So,
But in the interim, if somebody backs into one of these and the thing comes down in the road and hits a car or a bus, that's on us, because it's in the
Mhm.
village right away.
I'm not really sure what would,
It's
We didn't
unlawful.
we didn't allow it, we didn't license it.
No, I
That's for
understand
sure.
that, but it's in our right of way.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be there, and they've been on notice that it's not supposed to be there, and they have not removed it.
And we did put legal notice
Yes.
in the paper, and we ran that for a good 45 days.
But have you taken any down yet?
Not that I'm aware of, no. I mean, we could talk about it, but, yeah, no, not that I'm aware of.
I mean, you could certainly run the notice again and just say these are not lawfully placed and they need to be removed. I mean, they are on notice.
But nobody's identifying who put them up. It's just they're there, and
Just there.
Right, but the notice said you have 30 days, and then the village has the right to take it down.
something to that effect.
But there was, I think there are some mitigating circumstances that we could chat about. So,
Will.
I get it. Believe me, I do.
Yeah,
I just don't want to see
Something happened.
something happen, and then
Yeah.
the village is liable.
Yeah, I get it.
We did the proper notification, and I believe it was a good 45 days. It was
Oh,
every
it's-
day in the paper.
yeah, yeah.
And it's, that time is come and gone.
Yeah, look for more than a few months, it seems like.
So we gotta,
Just so I understand, so there's 6 on Winchester. Where else are they? I know the High and Lake.
they're up High Street, going towards Gilbert.
I think Freeland.
I noticed a couple on Newberry Street.
But on our right of way, that's what I'm asking, not on
Yeah.
their property.
No,
Okay.
it's on our right of way.
I think on Freeland across is the
There,
street.
I believe on Rossimi, saw one. There's quite a few of them,
Okay,
really are.
I just want to take a tour around tomorrow and find them. Okay,
All right, so that's that. I attended the Orange County Sewer District meeting a week and a half or so ago. And they're starting to move towards the expansion of the sewer treatment plant and funding for such addition. And it looks like it's gonna be somewhere close to $500 million. So, how that's gonna be paid out by the residents of the sewer district is yet to be seen. There was some discussion, and I've had some discussion with County Legislator Pete Toohey. Actually, after that meeting in the hallway, they're having problems collecting from the village of South Blooming Grove. Fees that are due to them. And I guess there's issues, I believe, with Moodna, payments that are overdue, so, it's gonna be a problem. The flow meters, as you and I met with the gentleman
Yes.
over here a week or so ago, the flow meters are going in all the communities, so everything coming out is gonna be metered. But $500 million on your sewer tax bills, something to, keep an eye on, because it's, for all intents and purposes, the village of Monroe is, for the most
Built out.
part, built out.
yeah.
So you're gonna, because we're part of the sewer district, we're gonna get socked for expansion of the sewer treatment plant that, at this point, really isn't gonna benefit us.
Yeah.
So there's issues, their consulting firm was there, Delaware Engineering, and the meeting wasn't that long, but the only other official that I saw there from the audience was Gedalia Sagan from Curious Joel, but something we gotta watch and, see how this thing is gonna play itself out, but, they are seeking federal funding towards this through the Clean Water and Air Act, so that's a bit of good news. And the last thing, and I know we talked this morning, is there any way before Operation Clean Sweep that
Yes.
we can have our guys from at least Fitzgerald Court back to the traffic light going into Planet Fitness to clean the garbage up on both sides of the
All
road?
set up.
Because it's not good. Because it's just, it's horrible. It's horrible. The last thing is, the Calvin Terrace water job is moving forward. There's probably, I just looked at it today real quick, there's probably about 400 feet of main that's been put in.
Wow.
So, they're moving along on that.
We have the same, I'm sure there's the same spec on the milling and fill on that, right? I'm sure that's on that spec for that bid.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep, it's the same thing we had on 4C. So, that's all I got. Looking forward to being around for another 4 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mr. O'Connor?
I'm good.
Okay. I need a motion, no, excuse me, public comment.
I guess I just want to thank you for working with Bernie, and your organization is wonderful.
Sure.
And have gotten results. That's it.
Thanks so much, I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
attending. Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to go into executive for attorney-client for the purposes of counsel.
Well, I'm going to update you on a matter of pending litigation as well as a real estate acquisition.
Okay.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second,
Ferraro, second.
call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Carl,
Ferraro?
Oh, Ferraro, aye, sorry.
Carla?
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Thank you, have a great night.
Good night.
Night now.